Hello my beautiful people, welcome to your life path reading for 2022. Can you believe we are here already? So before we get into it, this first part of the reading is always, it's an overview. So what we're going to be looking at is 2022 as a 6 year. This is really important context because it's going to tell you how the year is likely to go in its trends, its themes, the energies that we're likely to experience. And that provides an important context and a backdrop for how we're all going to be experiencing this in, or rather, through the context of the universal year. But more importantly, how that energy is going to play out for us really speaks to how we experience our personal year. So that in itself as well is just as important. I will put a link for those personal year videos in the I'll put one in the description and I'll put one on the little thing floating above my head so that you can get even more into it. But like I said, this part, don't skip it. It's really important that you get an idea of what we're going to be dealing with. And I will be going very in depth this time round. So let's get straight into it. So 2022 is a 6 year, as you now know. 6 is actually the number that is ruled by Venus. So we can definitely say that 2022 is going to be a much easier, a much slower paced year. It's going to be a much calmer year. What I will say as well, 2021 saw us, we kind of experienced a lot of change, right? A lot of upheaval, lots of sharp turns, lots of twists and turns, lots of surprises. It did see a lot of advances in technology, which I talked about. It did see a lot of advances in cryptocurrency, which I talked about in the 2020 videos, right? In the videos for 2021. So it's great to see that this kind of tracks. Now, in terms of the universal year being the number 6, it is tended towards like a slower pace. It's more focused, it's more connected. It's a lot less erratic as well, which is great for all of us, especially those of us that are already naturally a little bit erratic. It's going to be a year that is directed more towards altruism, a year that's directed more to support, to connection, to balance, harmony. It's definitely going to be a year where people really start to consider their own personal impact on things. So we're going to see this energy of accountability is going to start to become a really big or really powerful theme throughout 2022. Now that accountability isn't just going to be for us on the microcosmic level, it's going to be for all of us on the macrocosmic level as well. So this is going to be about governments, this is going to be about people that are in charge, people that are heads of companies, heads of state, etc. There's going to be a lot more of people expecting others to be accountable for their actions and, more importantly, for their impact on the wider world. So as always, I've got my trusty notes here, so if I'm looking away, that's where I am. All right, so in a way, the buzzword for this number 6 year is responsibility. It's one of the biggest words that comes up for the energy of the number 6, right? So it's going to come sharply into focus for all of us in some way, shape or form. Who are we responsible for? Who are we responsible to? And more importantly, how do we meet those requirements? How is it that we really show up for what and who we are responsible for? And how do we play our part, right? Whether for the good or for the ill, as they say. So some of the considerations that are going to come up with this year, and these are definitely not, like, it's not just limited to the things that I mentioned. You'll see many trends and themes evolve over the year, but these are the ones that I've really honed in on because I kind of feel like these are going to be like they're going to be like the structure or the skeleton of the year that really kind of shows people, right, okay, this is where we're at. So domestic life, when it comes to your home, its contents, everybody that lives within, so people that you live with or, people that you want to live with. How can you get the most out of your home? How can you improve your home? There's going to be a lot of decorating, interior design is really going to take off this year or become a lot more prominent. People, doing more development on their homes. So that whole thing about construction of new homes, definitely going to be a theme throughout this year. The materials that we need in order to construct homes is also going to be a challenge over the course of this year. It's a continuation in a sense, yes, but these things are really going to be highlighted. How can you make your home look and feel better for yourself or for the people that are dwelling inside with you? what can you do to make your home a sanctuary, right? Because your house is what keeps you safe from the elements. It's what helps you shut the world outside out when you need to. It's supposed to be a sanctuary. Supposed to be warm, you know, to be a place where all of your needs can be met regardless of what's happening. And I think a lot of people are really going to tap into that this year. Home, the hearth, the family, familial ties and connections, whether these are familial ties and connections that you choose or whether they're familial ties and connections that you're born to, is kind of going to be irrelevant this year. It's going to be all about how do we connect? How do we, you know, bring more of that connection in? These things are going to be more important than ever, so I do feel like those things will definitely expand. So on the wider world stage, this is likely to translate to a housing crisis. It might also be that we start to get more conscious of how can we eliminate the problem of homelessness. We might see a big drive towards how we can start to improve, you know, living life for people. It's ridiculous. It's just, sorry, excuse my language, but it's effing ridiculous that in 2022 we still have homeless people. It's just unfathomable. It just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. Okay, rant over. Reining it in. All right, so this whole thing about, again, right, this disparity between wealth and, you know, the super wealthy and all the rest of it. Not only are we going to see more of a divide, but we're going to start to see more calls to action to shrinking that divide, to making things more equal, to making things more balanced. Remember, this number is ruled by Venus. Venus is all about balance. It's all about harmony. It's all about smoothing off the rough edges. So it's probably going to see us highlighting what we can do for those that are homeless in some way, shape or form. So another thing that I've got here as well is cleanliness. So I believe that over the course of this year, we're going to see a much more, we're going to be more focused on cleanliness, and how that can be a part of our daily routines, which I find this really interesting as well, because in ancient astrology, Demetra George writes in one of her books that one of the things that is assigned to Aquarius is cleanliness, right? Which is really interesting to me because Saturn, the ruler of Aquarius, is in the sign of Aquarius. So I found that really interesting that as soon as we had this, yes, we had the pandemic and the shutdown and the lockdown and stuff, but we also had this really, you know, powerful, stringent drive towards being more clean. Now, what I will say is what I've got here is what is clean? How do we clean? And I think this is going to see a lot of developments on the wider world stage on how we can cleanse or clean our lives, our homes and our bodies, but in ways that aren't toxic to us or the environment. So there's going to be a lot of developments on how we can work in harmony or in tandem with nature rather than fighting with it in some way, which I think is great, right? So we're probably going to see new technologies and things developed when it comes to cleanliness. I think this is going to have a lot to do with sound and frequency. I've got this really, you know, powerful hit when I was doing all of the research for this year, that these are going to be some of the ways that we really tap into this idea of cleansing ourselves, cleansing our space, cleansing our body. And remember, everything at the end of the day is vibration and frequency. So I think we're going to see a lot to do with developments on that front. We'll definitely be paying more attention to our oceans, our seas, our rivers and our lakes. There's going to be big focus on how to clean up our water supply, because if we don't have water, it don't matter how rich, what your status, where you're from, if you ain't got water, you ain't got life. Period, right? Clean water is a necessity for everybody. So there's going to be more money and attention placed on the vital waters of life. I definitely believe that. That being said, new developments in blood cleansing and vaccinations. I definitely feel 2026 is where we're going to see a massive advancement towards a cure or a vaccine for HIV and various other illnesses as well. So when it comes to healing, we're definitely going to see a big focus on this as well. A lot of the new age methods will start to really gain prominence. Now, when I say new age, what I actually mean is ancient ways of healing. herbalism, medical astrology, sound, frequency, vibration, all of those things, energy healing. We're going to see all of these things really start to come to the fore. Natural, non-toxic, non-invasive ways of healing are going to really prevail over this year. And here's the beauty of it. I don't think that this is going to pit us at odds with the medical tradition. I actually feel like we're going to start to see a dovetail. This is where we're going to start to see how can we fuse these things? How can we really find ways to integrate the two, which will be brilliant. I definitely think we're going to see an expansion of such things. Sound healing, frequency, vibrational healing will definitely come to the fore. I also think that medical science is definitely going to advance this year. Like, I really believe that. But as a result, I think we're going to see more and more of a crossover between the two. If not a global level, then at least at a grassroots level. And that grassroots level of everything is going to be very important this year, because we're going to see a lot more of that. All right, we're going to start to see less of the we're going to start to see it more on the microcosmic level, let's say. Herbalism, definitely going to be a revival. Green get together and more group healing work as well is definitely going to start to expand. So when we talk about spiritual progression, to be spiritual is to be organized and in harmony with all that surrounds you and all that you encounter. So just like its upside down counterpart, the number 6 has a natural draw towards leaving the world and people better than you find them, right? 6 is actually the number that is all about responsibility and service. It's the energy of the agony aunt or the healer or the mystic or the the maintenance or the caregiver, right? So it's all about leaving things and people or even environments better than you find them. We're going to see a lot of this year and a lot of drive towards that. This energy as well can be known as the fixer energy. So it takes problems, challenges and issues, and it will lovingly and painstakingly work on them until they're dissipated or, removed altogether. It's actually a very spiritual number in that sort of sense. And because, the highest form of spirituality is to be of service to the universe in some way, shape or form. I truly believe that. Now, this is, it's what I've put here is, it's the cleansing ritual before the magic and the enchantment of the year 7, 2023 kicks in, right? So for those of you that are into this kind of thing, 6 is the year of the clearing and the cleansing of the space before you set your enchantment or your intention forth in the 7 or the spiritual sphere, all right? So it's an important aspect or a part of this that people often overlook, right? So remember, all steps are important in the process of manifesting something. You can't leave one out, and that means not leaving out the cleansing stage as well. All right, so on the wider world stage, we're definitely going to see more care towards service providers, healthcare workers and professionals, people that actually showed up for us when it really bleeping mattered. Like, we're going to see a lot more kindness and courtesy towards those people, if not from, the oligarchs and all of the hierarchical stuff, certainly from the people on the ground below. All right, so support and connection. This is a very supportive energy. It's very connective. 6 has that natural pull, that natural draw towards harmonizing things, bridging the gaps between things that maybe don't have any connection and finding a way to create one. It means as well taking form from one thing to give to another. So this may very well see, so 2020 and 2021 we saw a lot of wealth transference from the majority of the people to the minority of the people. 2022 is going to start to see the opposite. It's the way that universal law works, right? You can't have something that is unbalanced. The universe doesn't like it, just like it doesn't like a vacuum, right? So it's very, very interesting to see how this will come out. This divide between the wealthy and the poor, we're definitely going to see more of a spotlight on it. If it goes ignored, there will be a lot of noise and a relentless drive towards making it better for everybody as opposed to just a certain few. So let that be a universal warning to those those that are in charge. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a vessel. This will definitely be the starting of the community living. So lots of people have talked about this, and we know it's coming through in the astrology as well. 2022 is where we're really going to see this stuff start to happen. It's actually going to become a reality. We're going to see communities popping up left, right and center. People will be demanding more connection, more community, more sense of pulling together. If they don't get it, and it's not present in the world, then they'll just create it themselves. It will literally just be that, like, okay, well, what we want and what we need isn't being provided, so we'll do it our damn selves. And once we've done that, there's not going to be any standing in our way because we declare our own, right? So, you know, I love it. It will definitely be more about people coming together and living together as well. More sharing, more caring is the name on is the name and the number of Venus. Beauty and romance. So while this number is very practical, it's also very Venusian in a sense. It does appreciate anything and everything natural. We're going to see a draw towards more sort of neutral colors, lots more pastel colors, things that are a lot more things that are a lot more pleasing to the eyes, things that are lighter, brighter and more caring. So 2021 was a lot about sort of, you know, what was really in your face and really bold and really deep and all the rest of it, whereas 2022 is going to be a lot more sort of smoother. So I've put here pastels and greens, yellows and blues. Gentle color palettes are definitely going to be way more favorable, as will gentle makeups, anything that is natural, that's kind to the skin, that's kind to the environment, that's easy to make without destroying the environment. All of this is going to be to the fore. Startups that promise to be you know, kind to the environment, or to offer more in the way of you know, kindness to flora and fauna will definitely come up over the course of this year for sure. Also, the demand for more greenery, the demand for more natural feel to things, for more open spaces, more room for animals, more connection to, with and for nature is going to be to the forefront. And again, if we don't get it, people will just start to create it. People are definitely going to start walking away from cities, anywhere that's too built up, where you're living on top of each other like, you know, sardines and stuff. It's just not the way of it anymore. People want more space, more openness and more freedom where they can gather more together. And, you know, again, if they don't get it, they'll just make it themselves. They want clean, fresh, natural, open spaces that have a community or communal feel to it. There's a need or a call for more. That's where the money's going to be flowing as well. So if you're thinking about starting a business, think about all of the things that I've mentioned are going to come up over the course of this year, because this is just the seeding of it. It's not like, oh, here it's 2022 and that's all that's going to be, and, you know, then it's done. This is like literally, that's, you know, this is the chance really for you to get ahead of the next gold rush, I guess. All right, so what people will be interested in. People are going to be interested in things and people that roll up their sleeves and get stuck in and help others. The beauty is in the dirt, in the mud, in the sweat, in the beauty, in the fucking crotch of everything that you are, right? This is about getting stuck into things with the deepest aspects of yourself. It's not about surface stuff. It's about coming together. It's about really being accountable and responsible, and, you know, thinking about other people rather than just yourself. Those are going to be the things that are sexy this year. That's going to be the stuff that really gets people fired up. The elements and how they affect and change us: rain on the skin, air in the lungs, grass under your toes and in between your toes, and sand in your toes. I get really excited because I'm a hobbit at heart. You know, give me a tree to put my back to, a book, maybe some music. Don't necessarily need it, but, and, you know, a wide open expanse with my toes in the grass. You got me for life. I'm happy. I don't need much. All right. We'll definitely see a lot of kickback between companies and their workers. Why? 6 is the number of the home and the hearth. And as I said to you last year, this whole idea of going back to the office, a lot of people are just done with it. They're over it. They don't want it, right? And they will continue to kind of hold back from that. So a word to companies, etc. Think about ways that you can sort of maybe create a more blended feel where people can spend more time at home and some time in the office. Because if you try to just get them to come back to this whole 9 to 5 in the grind thing, it's just not going to work. It's already started falling apart. All right, people want comfort, connection, community, and ease. That's got more weight than the high-powered career this year, right? 6 is bringing a reckoning. It really is. Okay, so Jupiter falling or moving into the sign of Pisces is directly feeding into all of this. So Jupiter is the great magnifier, the great expander, the great lord of abundance and growth, children and spiritual law. So I've said this before and I will definitely say it again. I think we're going to see a massive drive to, not drive towards, but I think we're going to see a lot of babies born in 2022 for sure. The big man of kings and universal law is what I've put here. All of it sounds wonderful for the most part, and it is. But consider this, Pisces is the 12th sign. It's a placement of a lot of politics and people that are in politics, which means we might see as well, I think we're going to see a few meteoric rises of certain politicians or people that kind of seem to come out of nowhere and all of a sudden find themselves, you know, at the top with lots of followers or really, you know, standing out in their message or in their speech. If they meet the needs and the wants and the will of the people, they will survive. If not, it will be a collective thumbs down. It's going to be more and more that the will of the people starts to rule from here on in. So again, let that be a message to those of you that are in charge. So Pisces is all things and no thing at once. It's got no boundaries. It's a double-bodied water sign. As such, it's got no boundaries, and it means that we do have quite a lot to consider in this sense, because if Jupiter expands things and Pisces has no boundaries, this is like literally an expansion of that boundlessness. So this is something to consider. It's also going to be, I talked about the huge wave of babies that might be coming in from here on in. We now see a dissolving of certain ideas and also places. The European Union might start to crumble or dissolve. Not saying it will, but just an idea. Borders between countries may also start to come down, or the lines may get very blurred. Neptune's already in Pisces, so we're going to see a lot of legalized drugs this year. And maybe in places where they haven't been before, or maybe places where it's been a little bit more taboo, etc. I think we're definitely going to see a drop in the crime rate, which I talked about in, if any of you purchased my 2022 videos, I talked a lot about this for 2022 in those. So if you've seen the sign videos, then you know I talked about this. Whatever has been hidden will come to light in powerful ways. And then finally, as Jupiter is the ruler of spiritual law, we're going to see more than a few cases of miracles, but it's also going to be vital to have your wits about you, right? It's important that you don't allow yourself to be hoodwinked this year, because there are going to be a few rises of gurus, etc. And as we drive towards more people cultivating a need for spirituality, especially as we get to 2023, it's going to be important to use your own discernment, especially for some of the stuff that we see, because we might see some weird stuff in 2022 still. You know, just be aware that that is the case. Now, I have said to everybody, building a solid spiritual practice for 2022 is going to be vital, because that spiritual practice and that spiritual work that you do in 2022 is going to offer you the life raft or the rope to get you through the murky weirdness that is going to be 2023. I make no bones about saying this, right? For those of you that have seen the webinar that I did with Heather from Astrology with Heather, we talked about the next 5 years from 2020 right through to 2025. It's going to be an interesting time for sure, but 2023 was the year that really stood out to me as being like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a really weird year, right? We're going to see some odd stuff 2022, but it will be the real weird sort of murky, what the hell is going on? That will be 2023. So finally, energy medicine, witchcraft, occult things, astrology, numerology, tarot, human design, all of these systems are going to be more in demand than ever. We might see some kickback from them. Integrity is going to be everything. Those tarot readers, astrologers, numerologists, human design readers, witches, all the rest of it. The ones that have integrity will be the ones that really do well this year. Remember, Jupiter's in its home sign of Pisces. So while there'll be an expansion of these things, it will be the ones that have integrity, the ones that are on point, the ones that are not charlatans, basically, that will be the ones that continue to grow, whereas everybody else will kind of fall to the wayside. And then finally, let me be clear, the age of the guru, while coming to an end, will be going out with a bang. All right, so you're going to have to see this. And I do feel that we're going to see a lot of, not a lot of, but certainly some of the bigger ones will be taking a tumble because the smoke and mirrors energy just not going to cut it this year. All in all, I think this can be a very beautiful year, maybe one that is a little bit excessive, possibly even a little bit pedantic in its energies. Remember, it is Venus ruled, so maybe the dark side is that people just want more luxury because they've been denied so many things. But it is going to be lighter, it is going to be brighter, it is going to be easier, more down to earth, and certainly better than anything we've experienced over the course of the last 3 years. With that said, stick around and we will get into your life path reading for 2022. Thank you so much. Take care and I'll see you soon. Hello, you beautiful Life Path 6 person. Welcome to your year ahead breakdown. So let's get straight into it. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your year ahead, what I want to look at here is how your number is going to interact with the number of the year. So the beauty of this energy is you are a life path 6, right? Which means in some way, shape or form, you are resonating at the same frequency as the year ahead. What this tells me is that this year you're going to have you're going to have your finger on the pulse. You will be fully aware of the way that this is kind of going. You'll be able to spot trends and themes likely faster than most people. Maybe one of the drawbacks that comes up with this as well is that you are probably going to be more prone to the energies of the year, right? Which means the highs are going to be really high, but the lows may also be really low. Finding a way to ride that roller coaster, finding a way to be completely present, but more importantly, to be authentically yourself is going to be so important for you over the course of this year. Now, the way that your number combines with the year of the 2022 6 year, some of the things that you might experience, which I'm sure you will be really happy to hear, are more fun, more freedom. You're going to feel a lot more lighthearted than maybe you did last year. I think as well, because 6 is a very balanced energy. So 2021 probably had you feeling kind of all over the place. 5 is not, but 2021 was a 5 year. 5 is not a balanced energy. It's not harmonious. It's all about change and, revolution and all things that are different. It can be quite jarring as well. 6, because it's ruled by Venus, as you now know, is a much slower energy. It's a much calmer energy. It's a much more refined energy in a lot of ways. So more fun, more freedom, definitely. This is a year for you to have fun. It's a year for you to network. This is a great year for networking. This is a good year for getting to know people. But when I say networking, it's not just about hard and fast. This is a business deal. You can do this for me. I can do that for you. If you approach your friendships or the new connections that come into your life over the course of this year in that way, the chances are they won't want anything to do with you, right? Especially especially because of the frequency that you yourself are vibrating at. Keep it fun, keep it social, keep it light-hearted. In terms of social as well, be sociable, right? Get out and about, connect with people. This is a great year to connect to people from all walks of life, especially artists, creatives, musicians, people that are considered a little bit boho, maybe even a little bit on the fringe. These kinds of people can really lubricate the creative juices within your own soul and really get you fired up for new projects and new insights, right? This is not necessarily a year for really working hard or sticking to hard and fast rules or anything like that. There's a lot more freedom, there's a lot more flow in this year for you as well. And if you embrace that, you will absolutely get the most out of it. So this is a good year to allow yourself time out. I'm sure a lot of you are really happy to hear that, right? So this is a good year for you to kick it, right? Go to the beach if you can, maybe spend some time just, you know, I don't know, gosh, with your back against a tree reading a book. That's a little bit of me. You know, maybe go for walks out in natural settings or parks, or go and visit places and spaces that really excite or speak to your soul, right? This sort of thing is going to be highly favored for you this year. Now, unless you're in a 4-year, a 6-year, or an 8-year, if you don't know your personal year number, you can, there's going to be a video link floating about above my head that will show you how to calculate it. And in the links in the description box below, there's a link to that video, and also a link to the playlist of the personal year videos that I put out, so that you can get a clearer idea of how, right, it's all cycles within cycles, wheels within wheels, patterns within patterns. So you know how this energy of your life path speaks to the year is also going to come under the personal influence of the personal year that you're in. So we're looking at lots of combinations here. So I'm giving you as much information as I can to make sure that you are fully armed to use this year ahead to your best effects. But what I can tell you on a short scale, if you're in a personal year 4, if you're in a personal year 6 as well as this, and you're in a personal year 8 or 7, hard work can wait, right? Unless you're in one of the years that I just mentioned, so 4, 6, 7, and 8. If you're in one of those 4 years, hard work is going to be a part of what you do, and you are going to have to roll your sleeves up and get stuck in. If you're outside of that, you get to have a lot more fun, right? Which is great. So what I will say to you as well, this is the year where you might start to see some of the results from the things that you set into motion. Maybe not fully, especially if you're in a personal year 2, maybe your results won't be as big or as pronounced, but you will definitely start to see some regardless, which is really exciting. And then finally, take breaks, take vacations, get out and about. This is a really good year as well. The way that this energy combines with your own life path, this is a really good year to get to know your local community, get to know everything that's happening in your local vicinity. Use your hands, use your body, use everything that you've got as disposable to you that's in front of you, right? This is a great year for that, so use it to your advantage. And then finally, let people see your fun side, let people see your humorous side, right? These things are going to be greatly appreciated from you and by you, because the thing is with 6, like, you guys are really responsible, you're very hardworking, you're always present for the people that need you, etc. It's not necessarily known for its humor, right? So to let people see that side of you this year, it humanizes you, right? And it's just going to really help magnetize and attract to you more of the wonderful things that you'll want. This is a year for magical creations and creatives. The thing that I like to say about this kind of energy is it's the sense of the past, the present, and the future converging in some way, shape, or form. Fun, free, and social. Get ready to mingle, baby. Get ready to mingle. That's what this year should be about for you. Keep it light-hearted. Keep it fun, keep it free, and as much as you possibly can, world situation notwithstanding, personal situations notwithstanding, keep it light, right? The lighter you keep things this year, the more you kind of brush things off. Obviously not if it's really serious. Come on, let's use some common sense and some personal discernment. But like, you know, providing it's not really serious, this is a year not to sweat the small stuff, all right? And then finally, for some of the lessons that you might come up against, fair weather friends, right? So people might breeze in and breeze out, and you've got to be okay with letting them come and letting them go. Same with situations and experiences. Ignorance can be a little bit of a thing this year, right? So you might be so hell-bent on having a good time or keeping it light that you might not necessarily notice where you know, somebody else is really struggling or really having a hard time. It's hard to imagine that that is the case being a life path 6, because you guys are so responsible and usually for other people, but it might be a thing. So just, you know, keep that as a consideration. All in all, I would say the life path 6, you guys have earned a break. All right, I will say no more. Now, for your 12-month breakdown, let's get into it. So you get one destiny card, one direction card per month for the year ahead, and we're going to have a look at it. And I believe that the first card out kind of sets the tone or speaks to some of the energies that you're likely to be experiencing on a broader scale. And you have the Tower card. Of course you do. Rap's like, you guys deserve a break. Here's the Tower. All right, so look, you're going to start this year maybe feeling slightly, you know, especially after the year that we've all just come out of, you might feel that off-kilter energy. This is where you're assimilating a new type of energy. This might be as well, this could be a time, a year and a month where you are saying to yourself, I'm ready to, like, literally to break the shackles, to break the chains of whatever it is that I've been under. For some of you, this might be a moment where you might come into the new year and it's like, bam, you just feel this like, okay, I feel completely different. Not bad, but, you know, systems check, something's definitely different here. And when things are so vastly different on the inside, sometimes it can be really not hard to adjust, but sometimes it can be a challenge to integrate that kind of new energy that's coming in. And it does appear that there is something new. Now, January could bring you a shocking turn of events. It could just as easily be a moment where you have a massive personal realization in some way, shape or form. This suggests that the year is going to be one that will bring you lots of different surprises, but it also opens up lots of new avenues. If you tried to stick to the tried and true, if you tried to stick to the way that things have always been done this year, the chances are this energy is going to be very uncomfortable for you. Keep things fluid. The more you do, the more you keep things fluid, the more you keep things lighthearted, the easier and the more fun this year is going to be for you. All right, and with that, you have the High Priestess. So for some of you, this could be a psychic impression, a psychic hunch. Now, because it's with the Tower card, the first thing that I want to say is this could be, right, on the macrocosmic level, this could literally be a secret that comes out into the world that completely blows everyone's mind and has them like, what the, like, WTF just happened, like, literally. Now, that's one way that this could show up on the wider world stage. For you personally, Tower card, big realization, High Priestess, intuition. This could be a really powerful personal download, right? You could come into January and have this amazing insight on this spiritual or psychic realm or psychic level. For some of you, this could be the arrival of a psychic gift that just shows up. Maybe, you know, when you were younger, you could sense how people felt, and then, you know, over the years it got squashed out of you. This could be a moment where that, you know, whatever it is that plugged up that drain, that plug's coming out and you get it all back in one. When that sort of thing happens, one of the ways that I like to characterize this for people, because we're all born with gifts and we're all born with psychic awareness and intuitive gifts and spiritual gifts. We all have them. To varying different degrees, right? It's just like some people can run fast, some people are strong, some people have brown hair. It's a completely natural phenomena. It's a deeply human phenomena. And science backs this up. We're just freaking mammals, for crying out loud. And when you think about the animal kingdom, they've all got a very keen instinct, and that part of that is from intuition. Now, I'm ranting, I know, but this is important because I always say this, like, You know, when you see a superhero and they get their powers and it's like, oh my gosh, like I've suddenly got this thing that I can do and I don't know how to control it, and it's scary and it's weird and it's awesome all at the same time. January could be a moment where something like that happens to you. Maybe your psychic centers are blown wide open and now suddenly you're, you know, hearing things and feeling things and dreaming stuff, and it's like, okay, this is sensory overload. It's a possibility, so just be aware that that might be the case. Remember what I said about these energies and how they could come together, this past, present, future kind of thing. Absolutely, like, you know, you could be jacked into the mains. Now, that being said, another way that this could show up for you, sorry, I know that was really fast and it was a lot of information. Another way that that could show up for you is literally you could have like a really powerful insight about something that speaks directly to you on that spiritual plane or on that spiritual level. This could be a download. For some of you, it could be an idea that comes fully formed. Because you've got the High Priestess here, I am going to say this to you. Whatever idea you have, for now at least, it's for you and for you only. It's not to be shared, right? This is something you need to keep under wraps, because until it's fully formed and you can say, this is mine, I created this is all from me, you don't want to give that idea to somebody that might swipe it, right? So for February, you have the Moon card, right? So February is going to be a very pensive time for you. In fact, January and February may very well be quite pensive months for you. Forgot to mention, Venus will be retrograde up until the 29th of January. Mercury will go retrograde on the 15th of January, out of the sign of Aquarius and back into the sign of Capricorn. So we're starting the year with a whole bunch of Capricorn energy up in the ether. Now, back to February, right? This Moon card, I often see this as something from the past, because the High Priestess is there as well. This could literally be a revealing of some sort. This could be, for some of you, maybe you get privy to a piece of information. Like, you know, we've all had situations in life where we think, you know what, maybe I'll never know, you know, I'll never know why that person decided to dump me, or I'll never know why, you know, I never got that job, or, you know, but I always felt that there was something else going on, or whatever. February could be a time where a piece of an old puzzle comes back into your life and has you kind of go like, oh my gosh, like that's why this event happened, or this event didn't happen, as the case might be. On top of that, you've got the Knight of Wands. So February, it looks like a lot of you could be traveling by sea, certainly spending time next to or around a large body of water. Some of you could be going to the seaside. Maybe some of you are staying by the ocean. Maybe some of you are buying by the ocean, or maybe spending time at a lake or around a lake. It could be as well that some of you are literally traveling by sea. Maybe you're going for a cruise. Maybe you're going for, yes, cruising and all of that kind of stuff will definitely be back on the table as of next year. Certainly a lot more than it has been up until recently. But yeah, really interesting. So it looks like a lot of you are traveling to a body of water or by water in some way, shape or form. Now, because you've got this Knight of Wands, going back to what I said to you about this, almost like I just kind of get this feeling that there's like a past piece of information comes up, and that Knight of Wands says, right, okay, now that I know this, now that I've got this one piece of information, that path that was once closed to me is now suddenly open again, right? I can move ahead with this because it feels like the right thing to do. So as we come into March, you have, oh, my magnets are all over the place. You've got the World card. In this deck, it's actually the universe. Isn't that is so beautiful? And when you look at the rocks and stuff, there's like faces and stuff. So March could be a time where your community or the community that you are tied to may come up for a feature, right? This could be a time where you are aligning with new groups. Remember what we said about this energy, connecting to new people, networking. March looks like a great time for you to be doing this. It looks like a great time for you to be connecting with different people, maybe joining different communities, or, you know, at least seeking them out. This comes up with the Page of Cups, right? So something that you, first of all, March is a really good time for you to pick up some sort of creative endeavor, right? This would be a really great time for you to think about ways that you can get your creative side out. For some of you, it looks like you're spending time in a community or a group of people, or aligning with a group of people that have a very creative nature about them. These could be those boho type people that I was talking about, you know, the vagabonds, the travelers, the nomads, the artists, dancers, musicians, all of that stuff. Highly favored for March, as is you starting a hobby. The hobby that I talked about you should get. If you've got a hobby, March is a great time for you to enhance that or get really good at it. If you're looking for one, March looks like a great time where you're meeting a bunch of like-minded people who do or are involved in something that you really love. So the first quarter of the year, interesting so far. As we get into April, this is going to be the first eclipse season, or the start of the first eclipse season. April 30th, we've got a powerful Taurus solar eclipse. So whatever you're beginning, starting, or moving ahead with, or whatever shows up for you around this time, will be completing down here in November. We'll get to that. So for that, you have, look at this, for the Taurus eclipse, you have the Empress, right? So the Lady Venus, who rules not only your life path number, but also rules the eclipse, because the eclipse is in Taurus and Taurus is ruled by Venus. The fact that you've got the Empress means that this eclipse could be great for you. It could be really fruitful. It might present some amazing opportunities. You've got this right next to the Page of Cups. This is a very fertile time. March coming into April, very fertile time for ideas, for nourishing and nurturing connections, networking, etc. Or even just building your bank, right? Just also very good. You got this with the Six of Swords. So wherever those of you that travel by water or to water in February, my money is on you going back there in April. So this could be, maybe you take a trip somewhere and you say, you know what, I absolutely love this place. Or maybe it's somewhere that you've never been, and you go and you fall in love with it and you're like, I need to go back. Like, I literally, like, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to live. Like, something about it just speaks to your soul, right? Great, beautiful. Now this comes up with the Six of Swords, which is a card of travel, and sometimes a card of travel to or by sea. So this is more travel for you in April. What I will say though is the travel that you do in February, it looks to be more exploratory, whereas the travel that you do in April is more about luxury, and it does look like luxury travel, right? So this could be you spending time like in a place that you feel is really beautiful. For those of you that have had or do end up having any challenges with women in your life, April could be a time where those things are laid to rest in some way, shape or form, which is very nice. Second eclipse is going to be in the sign, or it's going to be a lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio on May the 16th. We'll also have a Mercury retrograde that will come out of the sign of Gemini and back into the sign of Taurus around this time. Be aware. And I gotta say, this eclipse looks to be quite, it's a little bit dicey, all right? So just be cautious with yourself around this time. So you've got the Hierophant card, right? Right underneath the High Priestess. So here's where this gets interesting. What is a Hierophant? A Hierophant is a high priest. Your high priest falls right underneath the High Priestess. This, in a lot of ways, for some of you, I do feel like this might be a moment where something you're trying to get off the ground, something you're trying to do, something you're trying to start or create is coming up against red tape, right? This could be a moment where maybe you're, oh, sorry, that was nice. This could be a moment where you're having like a really challenging time getting something pushed through, right? So maybe the paperwork is, you know, once you jump through one hoop, you're having to jump through another. Maybe, you know, the thing that you're trying to do or create, they say, well, we've never had that in this area. So there's no, you know, there is no paperwork for it. There is no precedent for this. So we have to create one. It looks like you're coming up against a barrier of some sort from a larger institution. So this could be a local authority. Sometimes it can be the government itself, very possible. You got this with the Ace of Swords, right? So this is a contract, right? And it's one that has a very official slant. This is some sort of government paperwork, some sort of documentation. For those of you that are hoping to move abroad, this could be a visa, it could be you know, anything of that nature, like something where you need like a hard piece of paper or a factual document or a piece of evidence is going to be required from you. But it does look like there's a hold up with this. So whatever, you know, I mean, especially because you've got a Mercury retrograde and you've got an eclipse. Imagine this, like, you know, when pressure builds and nothing happens and nothing happens, and it's just kind of pressure and pressure and pressure, and then all of a sudden it gives way and it's like, pew. That might be the whole month of May for you, right? It might be that nothing happens for ages, and then all of a sudden, like right towards like the end of the month, it just happens really quickly and then it goes through. Expect delays and challenges with paperwork, documentation, and hold-ups with anything that is like a governing body or an authority in some way. For June, you have the Judgment card. I love this card. Not just because it has that element of change to it, but also because it reminds us that there are always deeper machinations going on behind the scenes than we are aware of. It's kind of like a fancy way of saying your ancestors got you, chair. And they really do. Look at this with the Ten of Cups. That's beautiful, right? So for some of you, or a lot of you actually, it looks like this is going to be a change of home. It looks like there is not only a change of home for you, but it does look like whatever documentation you needed in order to move to said home, or in order to get this, it's like not only are you changing home, you're changing environment, you're changing your surroundings, you're changing your neighbors. For some of you, this could be that you're having to learn a new language. There's something that you've wanted or waited for or pushed for the longest time that now suddenly starts to take root in your life. This is really nice. I mean, you know, the first half of the year, yeah, there's a couple of challenges, but it's actually relatively smooth, I have to say. For July, you have the Strength card, right? So this is where you're going to really need to dig in. This could be where, you know, now that the honeymoon period is kind of over, you're having to really dig in somehow. You're having to really get, I want to say, like, get clear on what is possible, and more importantly, what you want to do at this moment in time. And that comes up with the King of Wands, right? So a Leo male may very well feature for you in the month of July. King of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, Strength card, Leo ruled. A Leo male is very likely to feature for you in July. This could be somebody that comes in to help you, somebody that comes in to assist you. Because they fall next to that Ten of Cups and the Judgment card, I'm tempted to say that this is likely to be a family member. For some of you, this could be somebody that comes to your aid, somebody that comes to your rescue. This could just as easily be as well some people being, the word that I'm hearing here is conscription. So I don't know how that fits in for you personally, or whether this is like a thing that's happening in your locality, but it could very well be possible. I know it's just got very dark, it's because the sky is just really overcast today. I will put the light on in a minute, but I'm in flow. So yeah, a Leo male is going to be a big part of July for you. Like I said, this could definitely be somebody that is, you know, like an ally, or somebody that's there to help you or assist you in some way. I really feel that. Excuse me. It may be as well that for some of you, this is somebody that needs your help, somebody that needs your assistance to do something or to push something through. Now, the final thing that I want to say to you, because the King of Wands is very often about where we need to present ourselves more, where we need to be comfortable with the spotlight or the limelight. And this comes up on the Strength card, which is all about performance. This could literally be you presenting yourself to the world in some way. Maybe you are, you know, doing some sort of singing. Maybe you're presenting some artwork. Maybe you're starting a YouTube channel. Like, there's something here where July is a moment where you're having to step out in some way. For August, you have the Wheel of Fortune. So August could also be a time of travel for you. I really like this because, I mean, not only is it nice energy, but it also suggests that you're getting some sort of spontaneous blessing. Something is showing up for you, right? And this comes up with the Hanged Man. So I will say this to you. This does look like a time where, again, I don't know why, but there's a lot of water for you guys. I see you spending a lot of time next to water, around bodies of water. You've got this with the Hanged Man card. So the thing that I want to say to you is, for those of you that are planning to travel in August, there may be delays here, right? You've got the Hanged Man on top of the Wheel of Fortune. Whatever travel you were planning for August, there may be a hold up. And interestingly enough, I don't think this has anything to do with your personal plans or anything like that. This does feel to me like it's going to be something on the wider world stage. This could be a moment where, you know, something is halted, new legislation comes in, or maybe, just maybe, there's some sort of geological stuff that takes place. We are going to see a lot of that kind of energy over the course of this next year, so it will be interesting to see how this shapes up. August is a really good time for you to tap into your creative energies, all right? And we have light and very shiny stuff for August. All right, so for September, third and final Mercury retrograde. This is going to be retrograding out of the sign of Libra and back into the sign of Virgo. So any plans that you've got around that time, just to adjust accordingly. For that, you have the Lovers card. Now, interestingly enough, because we've got the Mercury retrograde here, I'm loath to say, I think this is going to be where you're needing to backtrack on a decision and maybe not necessarily stop it or cut it, but you are having to really look at a decision that you've made and maybe go in a different direction, or maybe adapt the idea or the thing that you've chosen. So what's an example? Let's say last minute you and your partner decide to get married on a beach. That really long wedding gown with the, you know, 6-foot train suddenly doesn't seem to be so, you know, it's not such a good choice, right, for getting married on the beach. You're going to have to adapt it, right? So you don't change the fact that you're getting married, but you do change the attire that you're going to wear. This could be something like that. It's the best example that I can think of at this moment in time. For those of you that are single, September could be a time where you are meeting someone. Because there's that Mercury retrograde, I'm loath to say that this could be a time where you're reconnecting with someone, and I'm not. For me personally, it's very rare that people that we reconnect with are for, you know, we're supposed to get back together with them. It does happen, I have seen it, but it is very, very rare. Most of the time it's just to show you both how you've grown, both how you've evolved, and then move on, all right? This comes up with the Emperor. So literally, for those of you that are partnered, September looks like a time where you are getting married, right? Because you've got the Emperor here, which is also a card of, you know, some of the commitments. Now, interestingly enough as well, so I am definitely seeing marriage here. I am definitely seeing partnerships strengthen, bonds come together. What I'm also seeing here as well, though, for some of you, this could be about choosing to study. And I kind of get the feeling that this comes about last minute. It's not like you've got these plans to go to university or go back to college or, you know, finish your degree or whatever. It just kind of feels like September comes, the opportunity presents itself, and you just think, you know what, stuff it. Yeah, I'm going to go for it. And you suddenly find yourself back in education in some way, shape or form. For October, we come into the second eclipse season of the year. 25th of October is going to be a Scorpio solar eclipse. All right, so just be aware that that energy is around. And with that, you have the Fool card. So this really is, I mean, eclipses themselves are wild card energy, right? The fact that you've then got on top of that the Fool card, this is one of those moments where, like, literally anything can happen. Remember, the Fool card isn't just new things, new places, new people, although there's going to be a whole lot of that for you, I believe. Which would kind of make sense if you're, you know, going back to school or maybe starting a new job for some of you as well, very possible, that has a learning sort of leaning to it, all right? Maybe you're having to, it's like, you know, sometimes you have those jobs where you have like a mandatory 8-week training before they actually let you start dealing with customers and stuff. Yeah, this could be cool. What I will say as well, though, not just new places, new people, new energies. What this also really says to me is this is going to be it's going to be a moment where someone or something shows up for you that is now here to stay. All right, so pay attention to who or what shows up at this time. You got this with the Ace of Wands. For those of you that are trying, for those of you that are interested, this is baby making energy, right? I mean, serious baby making energy. That is, I mean, Ace of Wands, that's conception, right? With the Fool card, children, new things, new endeavors, babies. I mean, if you're looking to conceive or to start a family, my absolute professional, I don't even want to say professional guess, but that's kind of what we do, right? We deal with potential futures. For me, October, I think a lot of you could suddenly find like, oh my gosh, I'm now pregnant. So just be aware. Another way that this could show up for a lot of you as well, this could be an event that tops all events. This could be, I don't know, maybe you go to a festival, maybe you go to a party. It doesn't have to be like the biggest thing in the world, but to you, it will be probably one of the best things that you ever do. One of the best things that you ever remember. Like this could be, you know, like we've all got that one party that we went to that was just like, you never forget it because you just had such a good time. This could be like that, literally, which is an interesting energy because the world might be a little bit crazy at this time, and you know, you're just like having a great time, you know, living your best life, and everybody else is like, the world's gone mad, and you're like, wow, I'm still dancing. For November 8th, we got that second eclipse, which will be the lunar eclipse in Taurus. So this is the full cycle that we have here, right, within the year. So whatever's starting, initiating, showing up around April, we'll be wrapping up here in November, and quite successfully, I might add. The thing that comes to me from this Chariot card, though, is yes, whatever it is going to be quite successful, but it might be faster growth than you're ready for. This might be, you know, let's say your business has really started to take off by the time November comes, and all of a sudden you find yourself like, oh crap, you know, like I don't have all of this stuff. Like I've got so many orders, but I haven't got the stuff to fulfill the orders. It could be something like that. So just keep an eye on this kind of thing. And especially if your business is based around products, like hard products or physical products, because as you know, we're going to see a lot more disruption to supply lines next year. All right. For your direction card, you have the Seven of Cups. You just want to be mindful here, right? Because two sevens represents news. So the first thing that I want to say to you is whatever happens in November, don't buy into all of the things that you're being told or sold, all right? So you just want to make sure you keep your wits about you, and you just want to make sure that you're not doing too much or offering too much. Because like I said, you might find that the demand for what you're doing, selling, offering, etc. is outstripping the supply that you have. And then finally for December, you have the Justice card, right? So I mean, for me, this card is a lot about commitments. It's not just about legal matters, but we will see what comes up to give it some more context. It comes up with the Eight of Wands. For a lot of you, a decision that you've been waiting to hear back on will come up for you in December. Because these cards fall next to the Chariot, I'm loath to say that this will swing in your favor, but it might be something where you think, wow, you know what? We only just got the answer that we wanted. All right, and then finally, your key to the year is the Gate 35 and experience. Now, I love this card because it always says we need to have the direct experience. Don't let somebody else's experience of something decide whether you do or don't do something, or decide whether you do or don't move ahead with something, right? You got to be really clear on why you're doing something, and the why has to be, you know, for you. It has to be personal. So the other thing that I want to say about December as well, this could be news of some sort of legal document and or paperwork that you've been waiting for. This could also be some sort of delay that is now lifted or moves ahead. It's just a really interesting end of the year, and for something that you have committed to or you're choosing to commit to, December could be a really powerful time of learning as well. Now, your challenge months, I'm gonna say, I mean, your real challenge months, honestly, there aren't that many, I have to say. I mean, January could be a testing time because there's so much going on the internal plane. But really, your biggest challenge month, I have to say, is well, May could be challenging. August will definitely be challenging because it kind of feels like you're under the constraints of the world. November and December could also be challenging months, but you know, for other reasons rather than anything else. And then your power months, I really love March. I really love April for you. You know, June, even July, I think is wonderful. And I've got to say, September and specifically October looks lovely for you. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have an amazing 2022. Let me know how this year shapes up for you. Check back in on the comments from time to time. I love interacting with you guys there. And I also wanted to say to you as well, if you haven't got your 2022 reading for your sign, you can get that on the link in the description box below, and there'll also be one of those things floating around somewhere. All right, I wish you all of the best for the new year. Have an amazing 2022. Take care, and I'll see you soon.